Hey guys, today I try to understand the World Bank, and I already feel brain melt. Right now, Caveman is sitting in a shiny glass cave with a man in a tiny neck rope called a tie. He is tapping a glowing rock, saying words like infrastructure financing, structural adjustment, and interest rate volatility. Caveman nods like a wise elder, but inside, I'm thinking maybe I ate a bad mushroom. Because Caveman thought the World Bank was a giant treasure cave where tribes go with empty sacks and come out with gold nuggets and new spears. Instead, Caveman was handed a scroll thicker than a mammoth thigh and told, "Sign here and here and here, also your grandchildren sign too." If you do not learn this, you end up cold, broke, and alone in a mud pit. Before you sit comfortably on mammoth skin, smash the like button and hit the magic scribe stick. But only if what I say makes you smile or think. Tell Caveman in the comments, where is your cave? What's your local time? Now grab your stone seat, hold on to your beard, and let's walk into the firelight of today's hunt. Because the story starts when a trader named Clinton from a neighboring tribe came to the cave market shouting, "World Bank giving money to tribes!" And Caveman's ears perked up like a hungry wolf. I imagine new huts, shiny tools, maybe an indoor fire pit with a smoke hole that actually works. So Caveman packed dried berries, kissed wife Luna Logic, and marched toward the Big Money Cave, not knowing I was about to learn the hardest lesson the tribe ever had to chew. Caveman reached the Big Money Cave, called Bank, thinking it smelled like fresh gold and roasted mammoth. Instead, it smelled like printer ink and fear. The bank man said, "The World Bank gives loans to countries to build development projects." Caveman blinked. "Loans to countries?" "Yes," he said, like Caveman was a stupid rock. "We help nations build roads, dams, power plants, schools, clean water systems." Caveman nodded slowly. "Ah, so the World Bank is like a tribe lending club, but big, like a giant mammoth with a calculator." He smiled. "Yes, but countries must repay with interest." That word hit Caveman like a falling coconut. "Even if the road breaks?" "Yes." "Even if the chief steals the money?" "Yes." "Even if a drought comes?" He shrugged. "Still yes." Caveman's brain started sizzling like meat on a hot stone. So Caveman went home and explained it to the tribe council. "We borrow from the World Bank," Caveman shouted. "We build a big project." The tribe cheered. Wife Luna Logic raised an eyebrow. She whispered, "What project?" Caveman thought long, then said proudly, "A giant statue of our chief riding a mammoth. Very inspiring." By the next moon, the statue was half built. No clean water, no new farms, no trade road, but the debt had already grown like fungus on a wet wall. The collector tribe came with a scroll. "Payment due." Caveman was confused. "But the statue is not finished," they said. "The loan was not for the statue, but repayment is still real." That night, the tribe was hungry. Children were crying. An elder was coughing. Cavemen stared at the giant stone head of the chief, smiling down like a joke carved in granite. That was when Luna Logic threw a sandal at Caveman's head. "You borrowed future berries for a stupid rock," she yelled. "The World Bank loan is for things that grow the tribe, not ego cave decorations." Caveman realized the painful truth. The World Bank is not a gift cave. It is a tool cave. It lends money for roads so traders can come, dams so farms can grow, schools so children can learn to count more than fingers. But if a tribe uses the money for foolish pride, the debt still comes like winter. The next morning, Caveman went back to the banker. "So the World Bank helps a tribe grow, but the tribe must be smart, yes?" The banker nodded. "Exactly." Caveman sighed. "Then why do you give money to dumb chiefs?" The banker stared into the distance like a man remembering a bad marriage. When Caveman returned from the Big Money Cave, the tribe split into two camps faster than meat in a hyena fight. One group shouted, "The World Bank will save us. With a loan, we build a road, get trade, become a rich tribe with shiny sandals and indoor rain machines." Another group shouted louder, The World Bank is evil. It makes tribes slaves. It eats our berries forever. Caveman stood in the middle like a confused goat, because Caveman saw both things happen. A neighbor tribe across the river took a World Bank loan. They built a strong road through the jungle. Traders started coming with salt, cloth, medicine. Children went to school. Soon they were selling pottery to far tribes. They ate meat every third night instead of every full moon. Caveman was jealous, but then another tribe down the valley took a loan, and the chief built a marble palace with a heated bath and a singing fish pond. No farms improved, no wells were dug, no tools were bought, just a palace. A few winters later, taxmen came. People were forced to give goats, grain, even blankets. Mothers were crying, children were hungry. The chief was still bathing in a warm pool like a lazy hippo. So Caveman asked an elder historian named Nello, who remembered 40 winters of tribe drama. "Why is everyone obsessed with the World Bank?" Caveman asked. Nello poked the fire slowly. "Because it is big power, child. When a tribe is poor, a loan looks like a rain cloud, but a rain cloud sometimes floods." He explained simply, countries want World Bank money because they want to grow faster, build roads, power, water, ports. Big projects cost more than tribe savings, so they borrow. But the loan comes with rules. Change laws, cut spending, raise taxes, open trade, fix corruption. Sometimes good, sometimes painful, like pulling a rotten tooth without leaf medicine. Caveman imagined borrowing a spear, but the lender said, "You must hunt only mammoth, not deer. Also you eat last. Also you paint the cave blue." The tribe laughed. Still, obsession grew because leaders wanted quick glory. They wanted ribbon-cutting ceremonies with drums and dancing, while the debt hid in the back cave like a sleeping snake. Caveman realized something scary. People do not love the World Bank. People love hope. And when a tribe is desperate, hope smells sweeter than roasted meat. One cold season later, Caveman finally saw disaster with his own eyes. Our tribe chief, Chief Pawpaw the Loud, called a big meeting. He waved a scroll like a victory flag. "We take a big loan," he shouted. "We build the future. We build a mega festival dome with dancing lights and imported coconut water." The tribe clapped because free coconut water sounded amazing. Luna Logic whispered to Caveman, "Where are the farms? Where are the wells? Where is the trade road?" Caveman shrugged, "Maybe inside the dome." 3 moons later, the dome was half built. Lights were blinking like confused fireflies. Workers were unpaid. Crops were still dying because irrigation was never built. But the loan clock was ticking. Interest grew like weeds after rain. Tax collectors arrived with stone tablets. Every family pays an extra goat or grain or tools. Caveman screamed, "Why my goat? I never danced in the dome." The collector shrugged. The loan was taken by the country, paid by the people. Soon the tribe was selling blankets to pay debt. Fishermen were taxed for catching fish. Bakers were taxed for baking bread. Even Luna Logic's soap business was taxed. Then they taxed Caveman's favorite goat, Butterbean. That was when Caveman cried real tears, because Caveman finally understood the debt trap. A loan is easy to take, hard to carry. If money is used to grow the tribe, build farms, power roads, the tribe earns more later and repays. But if money is used for vanity, corruption, or stupid projects, the debt still comes, and people pay. Caveman asked the banker on his next visit, "Why does the World Bank not stop dumb chiefs?" The banker sighed. "We try, but leaders promise good plans. Sometimes plans lie, sometimes leaders steal, sometimes projects fail, sometimes storms come." Caveman stared at the broken dome, thinking how humans everywhere are the same. We dream big, but forget to count the cost. The next winter, the tribe was still paying a loan for a building no one used. Children were studying math in a leaking hut while the giant festival dome glowed empty at night like a haunted cave. Luna Logic told Caveman quietly, "Big money is not evil, but a big ego is very expensive." Caveman carved that on the cave wall with a stone knife, because the lesson hurt, and Caveman was not done learning yet. After the dome disaster, Caveman went back to the big money cave with his hat in his hands and pride in his pocket. A bank elder named Greg with the tiny glasses sat Caveman down and drew a picture on paper. "When the World Bank gives a loan," he said, "it comes with conditions. We call them reforms." Caveman squinted. "Reforms like tribe punishment?" "Sometimes," he admitted. "But the idea is to fix broken systems so the project works," he explained slowly. If a tribe wants a loan for a power plant, the World Bank may say, "Stop stealing money from the project. Change the law so workers are paid fairly. Fix the corrupt tax system. Open trade so electricity is useful." Caveman blinked. "So, like borrowing a spear, but the lender says, first fix your hunting strategy or you waste the spear." Greg nodded, happy. Caveman finally understood a small piece, but the strings felt tight. Some tribes had to cut spending on things like fuel subsidies. Prices rose. People were angry. Cavemen saw riots in a city where bread suddenly cost double. Other tribes had to privatize big state companies. Workers lost jobs. Cavemen saw a minor tribe crying outside a closed cave. So Caveman was confused. If reforms hurt people, why do them? Greg sighed deeply, like a man who had read too many reports. Because sometimes systems are already broken. Without change, the loan is wasted. With change, the economy grows later. Caveman compared it to pulling a rotten tooth. Pain now, health later. But Caveman also saw greedy chiefs using reform excuses to do bad things, selling tribe land to friends, cutting help for the poor while buying new chariots. So Caveman learned the truth. World Bank money is never free. It comes with strings like a spider web. Sometimes strings guide a tribe out of the swamp. Sometimes strings choke a tribe if leaders pull wrong. Luna Logic heard this and said, "The real problem is not the bank. The real problem is who is holding the scissors." Caveman nodded slowly, because a tool is a tool. But the hand using the tool, that is where the story changes. After many nights of crying about Butterbean the taxed goat, Caveman started thinking maybe all loans were evil like swamp spirits. Then wise grandmother Mercy Johnson from the cooking hut pulled Caveman's ear. "You stop whining," she said. "Come walk with me." She took Caveman to the far edge of the valley where an old dirt path used to turn into a mud lake every rain. Traders never came. Farmers lost crops carrying baskets through the swamp. Children were late to school because shoes stuck. Now there was a big stone road, smooth like river rock, wide like a mammoth's back. Grandmother said, "A World Bank loan built this." Caveman blinked. Traders were rolling carts with salt, cloth, medicine. Farmers were selling extra corn. Fishermen were bringing fish to the city before it spoiled. Prices were better. People were smiling. Then she showed a new well near the huts. Clean water. No more walking 5 hills with heavy jars. Less sickness. Children stronger. "A World Bank loan helped this too," she whispered. Caveman's head spun like a drunk pigeon. So loans were not always bad. The problem was not borrowing. The problem was what a tribe does with borrowed berries. Grandmother explained the difference simply like a soup recipe. A good loan, money builds something that makes more money later. A bad loan, money builds something that makes the chief look cool now. A road brings trade, a school brings knowledge, power brings factories, irrigation brings crops, but a palace brings selfies, a statue brings pigeons, a festival dome brings tax collectors. Caveman laughed and cried at the same time, because Caveman remembered how a neighbor tribe used a loan to build a small factory making clay pots. Now they sell to 10 tribes. They repaid the loan early. Their children learned math, built machines, and started new businesses. The loan became a ladder, but Caveman's tribe used a loan for dancing lights and an empty hall. The loan became a chain. So Caveman wrote on the cave wall with charcoal, "Debt is not the enemy. Stupid use of debt, that is the enemy." Luna Logic read the wall and said, "Next time you borrow, ask one question. Will this feed the tribe or feed ego?" Caveman carved a second message. "If a project does not grow the future, do not borrow tomorrow." Because cavemen finally understood loans are like fire. Fire cooks meat or burns the cave. One day, Caveman finally asked a question that itched his brain like an ant bite. "Who owns the World Bank?" Caveman asked Greg with the tiny glasses. Greg paused, adjusted his glasses, drank water like a man preparing a long speech. "Well, member countries own it," Caveman nodded. "So all tribes are equal?" Greg coughed. "Not exactly." Then he showed a chart with numbers bigger than a mammoth herd. It turned out every country put money into the World Bank. The more money a tribe put in, the more voting power the tribe got. Big rich tribes got big votes. Small poor tribes got tiny squeaky votes like baby mice. Caveman's jaw dropped. "So the biggest mammoth hunter decides where spears go?" Caveman asked. Greg nodded slowly. That was when Caveman understood why meetings looked strange. Rich country chiefs sat at big tables with shiny pens. Poor country chiefs stood in hallways holding folders like schoolchildren waiting for permission. Now, Caveman was not saying rich tribes were evil. Some projects truly helped poor tribes. Vaccines, roads, water systems, good things. But Caveman saw politics hiding inside the money cave. Rich tribes wanted stability. They wanted trade partners strong. They wanted markets open. They wanted projects that protected their own investments too. So sometimes loans went where strategy was good, not always where suffering was biggest. Caveman remembered one dry land tribe begging for irrigation help. But the loan was delayed for years, while another project for a big city port was approved fast because traders wanted faster shipping. Tribe elder Nilo whispered, "Power always follows money, child, even in the Stone Age." Caveman looked around the big money cave and imagined a council of hunters where the biggest spear owner chose the hunt location every day. Maybe he chose wisely, maybe he chose selfishly, but he chose. That was when Caveman realized something uncomfortable. The World Bank is not a neutral god floating in the sky. It is made of countries, of leaders, of interests. It is a tool shaped by the hands that hold it. Luna Logic heard this and sighed. Then the best defense for poor tribes is knowledge. Understand the system, negotiate smart, watch leaders. Caveman nodded hard, because ignorance in the money cave costs more than a goat. One day, Caveman heard Trader Clinton shout, "IMF coming to help struggling tribes." Caveman cheered. "Good, we asked them to build an irrigation canal." So Caveman packed scrolls, dried fish, Luna Logic soap gift basket, and ran to the shiny office. Inside, a serious lady named Nello from finance looked at Caveman like a teacher seeing a student who ate his homework. "What do you need?" she asked. Caveman said proudly, "Road, dam, school, maybe a small statue, but tasteful." She blinked. "We are IMF. We stabilize currencies, fix inflation, provide short-term emergency loans." Caveman stared. "You do not build a road? No. You do not dig a well? No. You do not fix the dome? No. Then why does the sign say money help cave?" She sighed like a mountain. That was when Caveman learned the difference. The World Bank is like a builder tribe. It lends money for long projects, roads, schools, water, power. The IMF is like an emergency healer. When a country's economy is sick, currency crashing, prices exploding, debt panic, the IMF gives short-term help so the system does not collapse. Caveman compared it simply. The World Bank gives wood to build a hut. The IMF gives a bandage when a hut is on fire. But both come with conditions, both want reforms. Both make tribe leaders nervous and villagers confused. Caveman remembered news from a distant land where the IMF came during a crisis. The government cut spending fast, prices rose, people were angry, but later the economy stabilized. So Caveman finally understood why villagers mixed the names. Because when the big money cave shows up, something is already wrong. And when a tribe is scared, they blame whoever is nearest. The next time Caveman heard someone shout, "World Bank ruining tribe," Caveman asked, "Are you sure it is not the IMF? Or maybe your chief is stealing berries again?" Because sometimes confusion is louder than truth, and Caveman was tired of blaming the wrong mammoth. After many moons of running between the Big Money Cave, the broken festival dome, and Lunalogic's lecture corner, Caveman finally sat by the fire alone. No banker, no chief, no shouting tribe, just crackling wood and one surviving goat. Caveman thought long about everything he learned. The World Bank gives loans, the IMF fixes emergencies, rich tribes vote louder. Loans come with strings, good projects help, bad leaders ruin. But a deeper truth crawled into Caveman's brain like a slow, stubborn turtle. Big money is not magic. Big money is a tool. Caveman remembered when the tribe first discovered fire. Some used fire to cook meat and warm children. Others burned huts fighting over who controlled the flames. Fire is not evil. The people using fire decide the story. The same with the World Bank. If leaders are honest, smart, and patient, they borrow for things that grow the tribe. Roads for trade, schools for skills, power for factories, clean water for health. The tribe earns more, repays the loan, and grows stronger. But if leaders are greedy, careless, or desperate, they borrow for vanity projects, stolen contracts, useless monuments. Debt grows, taxes rise, people suffer. The bank did not eat berries, humans did. Cavemen also realized villagers often blame the wrong thing. They shout, "World Bank bad," because pain is real. Taxes are real, job losses are real. But they forget corruption, bad planning, or dumb projects started inside their own council. It is easier to blame a distant cave than confront your own chief. Lunalogic once told Caveman something while fixing his broken spear. Tools amplify character. A hammer in an honest hand builds a home. A hammer in a thief's hand breaks a window. Caveman carved that into the cave wall next to a drawing of Butterbean the goat. Because wisdom hurt, but wisdom also protected. So Caveman did not worship the World Bank like a rain god, and Caveman did not hate it like a demon snake. Caveman watched leaders. Caveman asked questions. Caveman learned numbers, because ignorance is the most expensive loan of all. After many winters, broken domes, taxed goats, and long talks with banker Greg and wise Lunalogic, Caveman finally understood something simple, but heavy. The World Bank is like a giant mammoth, too big for one tribe to control, too powerful to ignore. If you harness the mammoth well, the tribe moves stones, builds bridges, carries food across mountains. Life is easier, children laugh, fires burn warm. But if a tribe is careless, the mammoth steps wrong, crushes huts, breaks bones, scatters food. And Caveman realized something deeper. Every time people shout about the World Bank on the glowing talking box, they forget the real question. Who is holding the rope tied to the mammoth? Because Caveman saw good projects save lives, clean water wells, roads to hospitals, power for clinics, schools where children learn more than hunting. And Caveman saw bad projects ruin generations. Empty stadiums, corrupt contracts, ghost highways, debt chains, the same bank, the same tool, different leaders, different choices. So Caveman stopped arguing in the market with loud trader Clinton and angry farmer Nilo. Instead, Caveman started asking better questions. What project? Who is watching the money? How will we repay the loan? Who benefits? Who suffers? Because Caveman learned something from Lunalogic while fixing a leaking roof. You do not fear the hammer, she said. You fear a foolish carpenter. Now Caveman tells tribe children, big institutions are not fairy tale villains, not miracle heroes. They are complicated beasts made of humans, with hopes, fears, greed, kindness, mistakes. Understanding them is not boring. Understanding them is survival. Because a tribe that knows how money flows eats in winter. A tribe that claps blindly starves while dome lights still blink. Caveman learned late, but maybe you learned sooner, and maybe Butterbean's sacrifice is not in vain. So Caveman went back home after many moons of learning, scroll reading, goat crying, and banker arguing. The cave was still small. The roof still leaked when rain was angry. But Caveman's brain was bigger now. At the next council meeting, Chief Pawpaw stood up shouting, "We take a new loan to build a giant golden statue of me holding a trophy." The tribe clapped. Caveman stood up slowly. Before we clap, Caveman said, we ask, will the statue bring water? Will the statue bring trade? Will the statue teach children math? Or will the statue bring the tax man with a long face and a longer scroll? Silence fell like snow. Even Pawpaw scratched his head. Later that night, Luna Logic smiled proudly. She said, you finally stopped chasing shiny rocks and started counting berries. Caveman laughed. Yes, because Caveman once tried to borrow from the World Bank to renovate the cave. Now Caveman owes 40 winters of berries and 1 emotional goat. So friends, if this story made you laugh, think, or stop before signing a shiny scroll, hit the magic scribe stick and join Caveman's tribe. Because the next time you hear big words like World Bank, IMF, interest rate, or development loan, you will not panic. You will not worship. You will understand. And a tribe that understands survives. Caveman promises more hunts soon about taxes, inflation, central bank magic, and why your bread costs more every moon. So subscribe, share with your tribe, and tell Caveman in the comments what confusing modern thing you want Caveman to explore next. Until then, guard your goats, question your chiefs, and never build a statue before building a well. Ooga booga.